Contrary to his name, LADD's success on YouTube was quite massive. In a matter of years, he rose to become number 3 out of the top 100 influencers in the UK. He put in a lot of hard work that managed to pay off as he amassed almost 5 million subscribers on his YouTube channel, with an additional 750,000 followers on Twitch. It was unsurprising that he achieved such a level of success, as it was quite obvious he was in love with his craft. Unlike other creators who often get in for various reasons, LADD iterated over and over that being a YouTube gamer was something he'd always dreamt about. Unfortunately, in the long run, things didn't exactly pan out as everyone who was a fan might have hoped, and this was owing to some pretty serious allegations he began to face. Some incidents occurred that ultimately affected his high status, as they eventually led him to fall off the grid. So let's get right into how LADD threw his career away. Twitch is a pretty popular live streaming platform among the gaming community and records about 15 million users per day. The app is also infamous for how quickly it issues suspensions to streamers who violate or cross certain lines. So although LADD was quite prominent on the platform when news about him being involved in an unsavory incident broke out, the platform announced that he had been blacklisted. The string of events that led to LADD's ban is quite lengthy, and longtime fans of his world have probably never seen it coming. Generally, everyone knew him to be a pretty easygoing guy who was quite passionate about gaming. LADD, whose real name is Craig Thompson, is an Irish-English YouTuber who launched his gaming career in May 2011 with the unveiling of his YouTube channel. Shortly after, he began collaborating with bigger names in the industry and soon garnered numerous fans through his collaborations. Most notable was his partnership with the popular YouTuber Evan Van Nosfong. Together with their friends, they often created videos, particularly featuring games like Fortnite, which was pretty popular at the time. But this collaboration didn't endure the test of time, as years after, rumors of the cessation began to brew. The duo soon confirmed that the rumors were in fact true. But the thing was, the decision wasn't without cause and was instead due to LADD's desire to establish his individual channel rather than being known as Van Nos's associate. Basically, the challenge was that he had been starting to lose his identity as LADD, as people instead gravitated towards just referring to him as Van Nos's friend. In fact, some even began to spread news that the only reason LADD was even a big deal was due to his affiliation with Van Nos. However, these assumptions were largely incorrect, as LADD had already established himself as a loyal following before he began collaborating with others such as Van Nos. But the backtalk still resulted in him parting ways with Van Nos to pursue his own path. This decision came up in a video related to Twitter roasts, where a comment questioned LADD's rise in popularity due to Van Nos. LADD retorted by arguing that if his channel got famous from Van Nos, then why hadn't it plummeted? Netizens picked apart his words, and many decidedly chucked off his response to be arrogant and even borderline rude. This was decidedly the point where a lot of people stopped being as enamored with LADD as they once were. Although he had his supporters, he lost a lot of fans who kinda loved how he, Van Nos, and the other group of gamer friends supported each other. Whilst Van Nos garnered more subscribers than others, creating content together meant they all reached more people and collectively grew together. Unsurprisingly, LADD's dissatisfaction with being associated with his group of friends meant many people began to hold negative opinions of him, as they theorized that it would be painful to have a friend disassociate themselves from one because of their success. Things got worse when LADD appeared to exhibit a strong reluctance to be associated with Van Nos. This was proven by an instance where he verbally attacked Van Nos in a manner that he did not come across as playful banter. Nonetheless, LADD's popularity made a reach for the stars, and by 2019, a Northern Ireland rugby club was renaming their stadium after him. However, in the summer of 2020, the club ended their relationship with him, and he never got that level of fame back back as shortly after, all of his life's work began to unravel before his eyes, as the allegations from two women named Haley and Ash emerged against him. Both women accused Mini Ladd of exploiting his fame to solicit inappropriate images from underage fans. To back up her claims, Haley provided various screenshots of conversations with Mini Ladd that contained some rather inappropriate content. These messages were sent when both she and Ash were 16 and 17 years old, respectively, meaning that they had been minors. Evidently, Mini Ladd had pressured both ladies into engaging in some explicit conversations. The screenshots show that both girls had initially claimed to be tired, but Mini Ladd had used his mental health and thoughts about unaliving himself to kind of manipulate and coerce them into sending the images. Now, it's no secret, and Mini Ladd has been quite open about his mental health issues, which was, in fact, one of the reasons that endeared him to his subscribers. However, after the revelation, no one was of the opinion of his health challenges excused his behavior. This is because it started to appear as though Mini Ladd was placing the entirety of the blame for the harm caused on his mental health. In fact, it was so bad that it began to seem like he was using it as a sort of defense, thereby casually downplaying the issues regarding mental health and his alleged solicitation of minors. When the news initially broke, he took to Twitter to issue an apology, confirming that he knew these women had been possibly the perpetrator of the crime he'd been alleged to have committed. In the apology, he explained his decision to work on self-improvement and his commitment to seeking therapy to address his issues. However, the apology seemed quite feeble and didn't quite feel sufficient for the magnitude of the incident. After his initial apology didn't seem to do much damage control, Mini Ladd decided to take to his YouTube to issue a much longer apology. In the video, Mini Ladd addressed the things he did wrong. Initially, he was quite cryptic and was speaking about how challenging 2020 was for almost everyone. However, he soon delved into the issues he'd been involved in. According to him, he'd been going through a difficult phase when the incidents took place. But he did admit that Haley, who was the first person to make these allegations, was only 17 at the time and he was aware of it. Nevertheless, he still pretty much maintained that he was in a state of emotional distress during that period. So, while he acknowledged the gravity of his mistakes, he wanted people to understand his mental state during that time. Ash, who also shared her perspective on TwitLonger, mentioned that she knew Mini Ladd was going through a tough time and struggling to cope with a breakup. But whether or not she believes that justifies his actions, the rest of the world pretty much disagrees. Twitch immediately jumped to action by imposing the ban on Mini Ladd. Plus, they even revoked his partner status, and typically this means that the ban may be permanent. Although the streaming app didn't exactly state the reason for the suspension, it just takes two working brain cells to piece the puzzle together. Typically, Twitch refrains from providing public statements regarding streamers' bans. However, due to the high visibility and the related story behind Mini Ladd's case, an esports journalist reached out to a Twitch spokesperson who offered the following response, quote, "We take appropriate action when we have evidence that a streamer has violated our community guidelines or terms of service," end quote. Even though the statement didn't offer a precise explanation for the ban, it's highly plausible that it is related to the allegations the prominent streamer faced. Following this, many can't help but wonder what's next in the situation. However, it appears that the online community has expressed reluctance to welcome him back to the internet. They claim to find his behavior deeply problematic, and despite his apologies, many feel it would be better for him to just stay away from not just Twitch, where he's banned, but also YouTube. And that's the entire story behind Mini Ladd's career downfall. So what do you think? Are you of his opinion that his apologies were sufficient penance, or would you be supportive if he attempted a career comeback? Do let us know in the comments below.